let's now take a look at the performance management features that come with Techlify HR. Let's open an employee's profile and let's open Jimmy's profile. Now, there is a tab here for appraisals. And what this tab allows us to do is to appraise Jimmy digitally. So if I go ahead and click the plus appraisal button, we'll see, okay, hey, for Jimmy, and we have a template selected. Now you're able to also specify the title of the appraisal. So you can give the appraisal a title and then whether it's an anonymous submission or you want to track the appraiser. So anonymous submissions mean that you're the only person who know that you would have submitted this appraisal for Jimmy, and Jimmy does not know who is the person that submitted this appraisal. Now we can have multiple type appraisal templates, but currently we only have one. But in later videos, we'll go into templates in more detail. So let's just go ahead and appraise Jimmy. So you see we have the questions as we generally would in a normal paper-based appraisal process. So let's go ahead and fill in some of this and examples not applicable. The other thing you'll notice is that questions here are grouped into sections. So this section is proactive. You have a couple of questions on that. And then productive, a couple of questions like this team member manages their time effectively to ensure high productivity. Section for responsible, efficient, and questions are grouped within these sections. So let me just go ahead now and select. And a couple of things you might notice as well is that as you're selecting an answer, you're seeing a summary being populated here. So at the top here within proactive, you saw we selected exceptional twice, and you'll see the total for the 5 stars, or the top rating rather, is 10, and the total points is 10 here. Right, and at the top you also see how much is the total points available for this section. Again, in productive, total points available is 10, but Jimmy would have gained 9 because he got 1 exceeds expectation. Now let's just go ahead and continue filling these in. I'll just fill in some random values here. And yeah, then we have a final section on comments, and you can go ahead and fill these in. Now, again, keep in mind this is just a template that was shared with us by Action Invest Caribbean Inc. And in future videos, we'll understand how to build your own template. But once you would have filled out the appraisal form, you hit submit. Oh, and there you go. That's a fun limitation of Techlify HR there. A random user cannot submit an appraisal for an employee. My user account needs to be linked to an employee's record. So how do I do that? Again, if I go to administration, users, you'll see Joshua Kisoon is here, right? And we do have users for all of these employees. Now, I'm going to go ahead and link my user account to Mana. So what I'll do is I'll remove this user account from Mana and link Training Inc. rather, because this is the account that I'm logged in as. Let me just check. Yep, Training Inc. at techlify.com. So you see this account is linked. And now if I go ahead and save, there we go. So we'll see the appraisal submitted for Jimmy. We have a title and you have the different sections with the answers, responses, and of course this is non-editable. So this is what your appraisal view looks like. This is where you can PDF this or print this to send it off to Jimmy. And then there's also a summary. Here you'll see, okay, it's for Jimmy, who created it, what date it was created, and you'll see an overall score for Jimmy. Now, appraisals do not go out to employees unless they are approved, right? So when this appraisal gets submitted, it then goes to your HR team to review it, and then somebody from the HR team needs to approve this before it goes out to the employee. So I'll just go ahead and approve this appraisal. You can add any comments. I'll just hit save. And you'll see that, hey, an approval was added by Training Inc. at techlify.com on this date. And of course, you can add as many approvals as are needed, right, for this employee. So now this is considered an approved appraisal, and an email would have been sent out to Jimmy that, hey, he received a new appraisal. Now, let's assume that this appraisal was for appraisal for Jimmy's July 20th promotion, because let's take a step back here. If we go to Jimmy's salary history, we would see that on July 20th, Jimmy would have been promoted. So let's assume that this appraisal was for his July 20th promotion, and let's add that. Of course, the dates may not make sense because we're adding it on May 26th. However, it's just for our simulation. And then let's go ahead and add a second appraisal to Jimmy. So again, if I go back to Jimmy's profile, let's say we're doing our half-yearly appraisal, and we're using the same template. So I'll go ahead and add a second appraisal for Jimmy. And I wanted you to see what happens when we add more appraisals for a team member, how the point system works, how this reflects within the team member's profile. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save here. All right, and now when you view this appraisal, you'll see some more details. So we'll see that on this appraisal summary, it's 43 out of 50, and then we are also able to see previous appraisals that were added for Jimmy, and we'll see that the one that we previously added is 41 out of 50. And now if we go to Jimmy's profile, you will see records for 2 appraisals for Jimmy, the template, who added them, etc. So that's in a nutshell how you go about adding an appraisal for an employee. Now, like with most other features in Techlify HR, there is a section, or a module rather, specifically for performance. So you'll see a performance module in your left sidebar here. If you click on that, it will take you to a page where you will see all appraisals for all employees. Of course, we're only selecting unapproved here, so that's why we're not seeing all. But if we also select our approved appraisals, we'll see both appraisals that we would have added so far. And you can see appraisals across employees here. You can even see appraisals by branches, by departments, by status. So this is a very powerful page that you can use to manage your appraisals, and then you have things like reports and template builders, etc., which we'll delve into in future videos.